explain why the Estates General was not able to deal with the issues France faced. The Estates General, convened by Louis XVI in May 1789, proved unable to deal with the serious issues facing France, most importantly the acute financial crisis, but also economic distress, social inequalities, and political discontent, for several interconnected reasons. The most fundamental reason was the outdated voting procedure by estate par order rather than by head par terre. Under the traditional system last used in 1614, each of the three estates, clergy first estate, nobility second estate, and the rest of the population, third estate, had one collective vote. This meant the first and second estates, which together represented only about 2–3% of the population, but defended their tax exemptions and privileges fiercely, could always outvote the third estate by 2–1 on any issue. The third estate, despite being doubled in representation, around 600 deputies compared to roughly 300 each for the other two estates, demanded voting by head to reflect its numerical superiority and give it real influence over reforms such as fairer taxation. The privileged orders refused, fearing loss of their fiscal immunities and social dominance. This procedural deadlock prevented any meaningful discussion of France's urgent financial problems, as no decisions could be reached. A second key factor was the deep social and ideological divisions between the estates, which the Estates General merely exposed rather than bridged. The cahiers de doléances, lists of grievances, compiled across France showed widespread agreement on the need to end absolutism, reform taxation, and reduce royal extravagance, yet the privileged orders were determined to preserve the core structure of the ancient regime. Many nobles and higher clergy saw the assembly primarily as a means to regain influence over the king and limit ministerial power, not to undertake radical restructuring. In contrast, Third Estate deputies, largely drawn from the bourgeoisie and influenced by Enlightenment ideas and the American Revolution, sought fundamental change, including equality before the law and an end to privilege. These incompatible aims turned the assembly into a battleground rather than a forum for compromise, ensuring paralysis. Louis XVI's own indecisiveness and failure to provide strong leadership further doomed the process. The king summoned the Estates General hoping it would authorize new taxes without fundamentally altering the regime, yet he refused to clearly support either voting by head or by estate. His ambiguous stance, allowing doubling of Third Estate deputies but retaining vote by order, merely inflamed tensions without resolving them. Necker's opening speech on 5 May 1789 focused narrowly on the deficit without offering a bold reform program, while Louis remained passive as deadlock set in. This lack of royal direction allowed divisions to harden and radical voices within the Third Estate to gain momentum, culminating in the formation of the National Assembly on 17 June 1789. Finally, the sheer scale and urgency of France's problems in 1789, national debt approaching 4 billion livres, repeated harvest failures causing bread shortages and riots, and a complete loss of credit, required swift, decisive action that an archaic, divided consultative body like the Estates General was structurally incapable of delivering. The Assembly had not met for 175 years and lacked any established procedures or executive power. It was advisory only, dependent on the king's willingness to implement its decisions. By the time deadlock became apparent, popular unrest, exacerbated by high bread prices, and the radicalization of the Third Estate made compromise impossible. In conclusion, the Estates General failed because its antiquated voting system entrenched privilege and prevented reform. Irreconcilable social divisions blocked consensus. Louis XVI provided no effective leadership, and the crisis France faced demanded radical overhaul beyond the capacity of a body designed for a pre-Enlightenment era. These factors combined to turn the Assembly from a potential solution into a catalyst for revolution, as the Third Estate broke away to form the National Assembly, rendering the Estates General irrelevant.